Today we are unpacking something literally mind-blowing. We're going to look at the shadowy, often confusing world of complex digital financial traps. But we're doing it through a completely unique lens. Ancient Indonesian folklore. Centuries-old myths about black magic and wealth-stealing demons. Well, they didn't just disappear when we all got the internet. They actually evolved. And by the time we wrap this up, you're going to have a razor-sharp, totally new perspective on exactly how modern digital scams operate.
Okay, let's dive right into this. I want to start with a logical absurdity that really gets the critical thinking gears turning. So in Indonesian mythology, you've got these famous supernatural entities, right? Like the tuyul, which is this creepy little ghost that steals money, and the babi ngepet, basically a demon pig that rubs against houses to drain wealth. But here is the ultimate question. Why do these supernatural thieves only ever steal small bills from the wooden closets of poor villagers? Like, why don't they ever have the guts to just break into the main vault of the central bank? Or why doesn't that demon pig rub its back against the marble walls of the stock exchange? The answer to that question pretty much reveals everything about how financial deception actually works.
So, moving into Section 1, the logic of old ghosts, let's take a look at the old agrarian mindset. To really understand this, we've got to rewind back to the 18th and 19th centuries. These agrarian societies measured wealth in a completely physical way, literally sweating in the rice fields from dawn to dusk. So imagine you're living in that village, and suddenly your neighbor, who barely works by the way, is buying up hectares of land and building this massive, beautifully carved mansion. For a society with basically zero financial literacy, this caused absolute cognitive panic. Their brains literally couldn't process modern economic concepts like investments or compound interest. So they fell back on a zero-sum game mentality. Basically, the belief that wealth is strictly limited. If that guy got rich, there's no way he earned it. He must have stolen it using dark magic or pesugihan.
And this brilliantly illustrates what these ghost stories actually were at their core. Saying your neighbor raised a demon, that was just the most logical scapegoat they had. But more importantly, it protected their egos. I mean, instead of admitting the neighbor was maybe a visionary investor or just took some really smart business risks, it was way easier to just say, oh, he uses dark magic. It fed their ego, protected their insecurities, and completely justified their own ongoing poverty in their minds.
Which brings us to Section 2, the modern digital shaman, and how these ancient myths have evolved.
You see, these supernatural entities and dark rituals didn't just die out as we enter the 21st century. No, they adapted. They evolved to prey on modern economic depression. Just look at how the perpetrators themselves have changed. The old dukun, or shamans sitting in a dark wooden shack smelling of incense, they're effectively bankrupt today. Their place has been entirely taken over by a new breed. Today's scammers wear razor-sharp suits, they shout enthusiastically in front of rented sports cars, and they flaunt massive stacks of fake cash. They don't need a mystical cave anymore, because their ritual stage is literally the 9:16 vertical screen of your smartphone.
Back in the day, people looking for wealth might carry a physical amulet, like a mystical stone or a weird piece of black cloth. Today, the amulet is entirely psychological. Flexing luxury lifestyles is the new dark magic. Make no mistake, these modern shamans know exactly what they're doing. They know people are economically stressed and just desperate for a break. So by flexing, they create this illusion that success is effortlessly easy. They manipulate our mental fragility and basically make us feel stupid for not taking their guaranteed bets.
Let's move to Section 3 and see how this builds into what we can call tuyul and babi ngepet 4.0, the new digital demonic thieves. Let's map those terrifying old monsters directly onto the apps sitting quietly in our pockets right now. Take the tuyul. It used to be imagined as this creepy little entity sneaking under beds to steal physical paper cash. Well, tuyul 4.0 is much cleaner, highly hygienic, and honestly incredibly efficient. We're talking algorithmic gambling and bogus investment apps. There's no dark room required. You just download an app from the store, deposit your hard-earned money, and in seconds, your balance is sucked dry. There's no physical trace, no broken window, just a silent algorithm quietly taking everything.
Now, what's really interesting here is the psychology behind the theft. It completely relies on a variable reward system. It's the exact same psychological trick used in labs to train pigeons. They give you a small, super easy win early on. This triggers a massive explosion of dopamine in your brain. Suddenly, you feel like a genius, right? You feel like you can predict the future. So you confidently invest millions more and then, boom, the algorithm flips, the graph plunges into the red, and your money is siphoned off to some offshore account. And you know the cruelest part? Back in the day, villagers would just burn down the shaman's house in anger.
But tuyul 4.0 tricks victims into blaming themselves for just not being smart enough at reading the charts.
And then we have the babi ngepet, the demon pig. Its modern equivalent is pinjol, or predatory online loans. The old ritual for this was intense: animal sacrifices, guarding a flickering candle at midnight. The modern dark ritual, it's chillingly seamless. You literally just sit on your bed, take a selfie with your ID card, and click allow when the app asks for absolute, total access to your contacts, your photo gallery, and your personal data. Instantly, millions of rupiah appear in your account like magic. No effort, just instant cash. But remember, in the world of dark magic, there is always a price.
Before we talk about that price, let's arm you with the practical knowledge you actually need to spot these entities. Here are the undeniable red flags of digital traps. First, if an app or an influencer promises instant wealth without any effort, run. Just run. Second, if they claim there's zero risk, it's a flat-out lie. Third, if a financial app demands full access to your personal contacts and photo gallery just to give you a loan, you are absolutely entering a dark pact. And finally, if their primary marketing tool is flexing just to make you feel deeply insecure about your current life, you are being played by a modern digital shaman.
So the crucial point is in Section 4, the 3 digital sacrifices, where we look at the systematic despair these traps cause.
Since the very dawn of these myths, the absolute ironclad rule of black magic is that there is no free lunch. There's always a sacrifice required, a tumbal. Today, the algorithms of predatory capitalism demand a bloodless but highly systematic toll that kicks off in 3 horrifying stages. Step 1 is social death. Remember how you gave them access to your contacts? Well, the algorithm brutally broadcasts your debt. Your mom, your childhood friends, your boss, they all get text messages with your face on it, labeling you a fraud or a thief. Your reputation turns to ash in a single day. Then comes step 2, psychological death. You are just drowning in cortisol and adrenaline. Every single time your phone buzzes, your heart stops. These digital debt collectors induce a level of paranoia far more terrifying than any ghost hiding in the corner of your room. And tragically, we reach step 3, physical death. These systems build labyrinths of such thick, suffocating despair that thousands of victims, completely drained, tragically choose to end their own lives. No physical monster ever laid a finger on them. The systemic trap did all the dirty work.
Which leads us to our final part, Section 5, the ultimate digital amulet, and how we actually fight back. Listen, we don't need to burn incense or memorize ancient spells to ward off these modern demons. But please, if you take one thing away from this, burn this quote into your memory. In the digital world, if there is no risk, you are the sacrifice. If any app, website, or flashy influencer is offering you a shortcut to massive wealth with no hard work, zero risk, and in record time, they are treating you exactly like the old shamans treated their victims. You aren't the client, you are the product. You are literally the sacrifice being lined up for the algorithm.
So what actually is the ultimate digital amulet? It's really just 2 things: financial literacy and radical self-awareness. Developing sharp critical thinking and a cold, logical understanding of how money actually works, knowing that real wealth takes time, effort, and actual value creation, those are your absolute best weapons against tuyul 4.0 and digital predators. We have to wake up, build our rationality back up, and just stop letting our critical minds get dulled by endless scrolling.
I want to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thought to chew on the next time you open your phone. Take a hard look at the content you consume, the influencers you follow, and those apps you blindly grant permissions to. Ask yourself, are you consuming reality? Or are you slowly, unknowingly scrolling towards your own sacrifice? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay sharp, stay logical out there, and I'll see you next time.